Hello everyone. Welcome to Ladies Who Talk stream. This is our beautiful tradition. We try to meet every week to meet with our members and to talk about their professional background, their professional wisdom. My name is Irina. I'm a founder of Ladies Who Talk community and the host of today's stream. Um, if you watch us online here with us live, please send us some reactions or comments, love on the chat. We will be glad to see that. And of course, if you have any questions to our speaker today, please feel free to post them on the chat. So, about our speaker today, we have Sian Lenegan, the strategist, consultant, and business coach, and just an amazing person. And I always love to talk with Sian because it's so inspiring and so motivating all the time. Sian, hello. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for organizing this and thanks for having me. I just love the Ladies Who Talk networking group, and every one of your events is so special. I meet amazing people, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, full disclosure, we just had an amazing lunch together with Sian and 8 other women from the community. So we were there 1 hour ago, but it's a different topic right now. We will be now focused on Sian, on your professional background, on your professional wisdom. So we will be talking about why businesses get stuck, because Sian is a business coach. She helps businesses grow. And, at Ladies Who Talk, we have a lot of people who are already owning their businesses and they're growing them, or we have people who are just starting or thinking about the projects. And whenever we meet, many people are sharing what kind of problems they're facing, what kind of struggles they're having. And I see Sian all the time wanting to help and sharing this amazing advice. And sometimes it's only one sentence and the person is already saying like, wow, this is exactly what I needed. So I really want to share Sian with many more people, because ours is expensive. So I'm really happy that we're doing this now. So Sian, can you tell us a little bit about your professional background? What is business coaching, what you really do, and how did you come to that?
Okay. Well, thank you for the introduction. I'll see if I can follow the hype. So I started my career in the UK, actually. I was born in Zimbabwe, but I lived in the UK for 20 years, and I started and ran a digital marketing agency. So it was always meant to be that I was going to be a business owner. I joke about starting my first business when I was 14 years old. So that was when I made my first $1 million, but Zimbabwean dollars, so it doesn't count. But I just love business. Through the agency, I was doing a lot of consulting and helping people to figure out their offer and how to position it in the marketplace. I was doing a lot of consultancy. So when I exited that business and moved to Portugal, it was a natural progression for me to continue with the consulting and business coaching. So that's what I do now. And I just love solving problems. I always have loved solving problems since I was a child. So it's just very natural for me when I speak with business owners and they have a challenge. I can just see the solutions, So I love doing that for people. And I love when I see that moment of, oh, I can do this. And that's what gives me so much joy now as a business coach.
But your background is in marketing, right? Because you said a marketing agency. So did you study marketing? How did it go?
So it's a very long-winded story that I'll try and give you very briefly. When I went to university in South Africa, I actually did a business law degree. And so when I graduated...
It again proves that lawyers can do everything. I just keep saying that from experience,
Exactly. So I did that business law degree. And then when I moved to the UK, I started my career in corporate law at Eversheds. And after a few projects and things like that, I realized that my creativity just wasn't being fed. So I went back to university and did a postgraduate, did an MBA, and then decided to go into the advertising world. So I started my career in advertising marketing long before the digital kind of revolution. Was back when we still had CD-ROMs. So that's showing my age. And went into that. And after a while, it was just the next natural thing for me to start my own agency, which I did. And I had an incredible agency. It taught me so much. I built the team to 23. We worked with brands like Primark and Virgin Atlantic and some incredible big businesses, as well as small and medium businesses, where my heart is, because I think entrepreneurs, I think people who start a business and take that step to become a founder, I think that they're all heroes, because they want to create something for their own lives and their families. And I think that's really special. So that's where I like to work now. I don't really work with the big brands and big corporates anymore, although I still do some like sales and sales training consultancy.
Wow. I didn't know the law part. I think I never heard of it. This is exciting. No, this is also what this community and these streams are about, to show the variety of options, that you can do this and that, and then different thing, and then again different thing. And if you studied for one specialty, it doesn't mean that you are stuck with it. You can choose your life and go in different direction. Thank you for sharing. This is really valuable, I think, for lawyers, at least. I can tell for sure. Because with law, sometimes you feel like, oh, I spent so much time and energy in this, I already need to get this back, my return of investment sort of. But then many lawyers just get stuck and they are not happy with their lives. So whenever I get a chance to say, hey, you can do something else where your passion is, I always try to remind everyone about this. Yeah.
Exactly. You don't have to be stuck in one box. So.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah. So from your experience, because we are talking today about why businesses get stuck. So why do they get stuck? Like the most common reasons that you can name from your experience? Because I mean, it's relatively easy, although not very easy, but quite easy to start, right? And you are full of enthusiasm and you want to do it all. You see the niche, you see the market, but then at some point it becomes really hard. So why do they stop growing?
So if I had to sum it up in one word, it would be momentum. You've just you hit the nail on the head already, Irina. When you start a business, for whatever reason, you want to start a business because you want your own freedom, your own autonomy. Most of the time, it's because we want our own freedom, whether that's time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom. We go out, we start a business. And you're right, in the beginning, it's the energy, it's the enthusiasm. And it grows very organically. But once you reach a certain plateau, it's about realizing and understanding that what got you to that point is not the same things that are going to get you to the next point. And a lot of the time, startups fail because they are usually starting from standing still. But when you get into momentum, it's much easier to keep going. The problem is that when you're a founder and you end up doing the marketing and the sales and the invoicing, and you're wearing all of those hats or spinning all those plates, we all know these kinds of sayings. What happens is that there's a lot of start and stop, usually with marketing and sales. And so when you don't get into momentum and then keep carrying the momentum, that's why businesses get stuck. That's why they stop growing, and that's why they end up stagnating sometimes. So it's about looking at the delivery, the marketing and the sales, which is often falls to the founder. And the founder has no time to kind of like step back, be strategic. And the founder becomes the bottleneck. And that's what I hear time and time again from businesses that I work with. So really it comes down to momentum, just getting into momentum and then finding the strategies and the tools and the ways of working to keep the momentum going. I think that's the biggest thing.
But can you really keep the momentum going? Isn't it just a temporary thing that you get in the beginning, but then it's more like you said, like delegating, hiring a team, or business, building up a business process? Is it really about the momentum, or can it really exist after this first period of time?
Absolutely. And it's funny because every week my clients, all of them incredibly different and diverse businesses, but I start noticing themes and trends. One of the things that has been coming up this week is frameworks. You know, when you're in that founder startup phase, you're very scrappy. You'll do what it takes. You figure things out. You find a way. But when you get onto that plateau and things stop growing, that's when you realize that you have to take a step back and you have to start putting systems and frameworks around things so that you've got the structure. When I talk to business owners about working on the business and not in it, which again is another phrase that we hear time and time again, the way that I talk about it, or the way that I teach it to my clients, is that there's 7 pillars in every business. Doesn't matter what business it is, and this is my opinion, but there's 7 pillars in a business. You've got marketing and messaging, you've got sales and sales conversions, you've got the offers, delivery, legal and financial, and you've got the founder as well as is also a pillar. So when you have those foundations and you have all of the things that you need in each one of those foundations, that becomes your pantheon, becomes the stable foundation for you to then grow and scale or do whatever it is that you want to achieve. But the important thing is that you have systems and things working in each one of those pillars, because often you get very caught up on delivery as the founder, delivering to the clients. More revenue means more clients, means more work, and then you stop doing sales and marketing, and then that falls down, and it's like you're on a seesaw the whole time. So you have to put the systems around different things, and you'll have a different focus on each pillar, depending on where you are in your business, depending on what stage you're in, depending on what level of revenue you have, and that's it. And I've got some clients that have reached 7 figures in that scrappy startup, that bootstrap founder mode. And they've realized, if I want to triple the business, I can't triple what I'm doing now. Something's kind of got to change. So it's having momentum in each one of those places, not just one at a time.
Yeah. I'm a business owner myself, and I had a previous business as well with my partners. And well, what I noticed about myself is that I'm quite good with managing the team. I can do that, of course. I'm like a people person. But if I do it too much, my focus shifts from the business development to team management. And these are completely 2 different stages and focuses of my entire me. I cannot do this at the same time. And I feel that my strong part is in business development rather than team management. I mean, I can do that. But if I don't do business development, then the business will fall apart. So what would be a solution here? I'm sure that I'm not the only one. I'm sure that there are entrepreneurs like me. What does it mean? Because eventually everyone says that you need to delegate, you need to have people, you need to have team. So this question arises all the time, but if I have team, I need to manage it, and I need to put resources there. So what does it mean? Do people like me, do they need to hire an HR to take care, or like a partner who would be focusing on people management? Or is there any other way? AI agent, maybe? I don't know.
That's such a great question. And it's really important to understand that when people say, or when people give you advice, like you need to delegate, you need to hire, you need to outsource, etc., it's advice that's probably coming from a good place, because people recognize that as the founder, you're disheveled because you're all over the place trying to do everything. And so it's advice that comes from a good place. But that has been some of the most dangerous advice I've ever taken in the businesses that I've owned and run. I remember when somebody said to me, right, you need to hire a salesperson, for example. And it was absolutely the most expensive mistake I ever made. Because when you're the founder, very often everything's in your head. Everything is done by you, and you've got to start by documenting your processes. You've got to start by documenting things for various reasons. One of the first reasons being that when you document things, then it's written down. And then when something needs to be improved, you've got a starting point, you have a baseline. But if that's just all in your head, you've got nothing that you can improve. So you need to be able to do that and document things before you delegate, outsource, or hire for something. Because at the end of the day, when you're a founder, the responsibility is on you. The buck stops with you. And so you need to know how everything works and what converts sales and what is the best way of delivering to clients, because it's you're the business. And so once you've got that documented, then you can start to outsource and delegate and do all of those things that will then enable you to be more free, to be strategic and work on the business and do those kinds of things. But it's really important to not miss that step. I can't tell you how much money I wasted making those mistakes.
No, I can totally relate because in my previous business, we also at some point we grew revenue wise, and of course everyone was saying, "Oh, you now need a team, you need to grow. Now you have it working, so you can scale with the help of salesperson or someone else," And we also fell in this trap completely. We hired even an HR consultant or something like that. So we paid HR consultant and we paid the person. And in 3 months it didn't work out. So we needed to pay again. So, and we spent a lot of money and a lot of time and energy. And in the end, we closed the business, but it wasn't the reason why. But still, I mean, it felt
Yeah,
like it wasn't the right timing, probably. So okay,
yeah,
documenting, but documenting sounds boring. I'm sorry, but for the creative entrepreneur, like, okay, now what? I will start like putting instructions in my Notion, or how do modern people, creative people, do that? Because it's quite a complicated task, I would say.
It is a complicated task, but what I would say is that you don't have to do it all at once, and you don't have to make this complicated. So, for example, every time there's a task that you do repetitively, just write it down. Create a Google Doc or a Notion board. I like Trello. Trello is a great tool for documenting processes. Every time you do something repetitively, go, oh, great, this is something that I can put into a template or something that I can document. So, for example, every time you receive a new lead or a new inquiry into your business, there's a couple of steps that you probably follow. You probably go and check out the business, make sure they're legitimate. You probably send them an email to say thanks for the inquiry and send them some sales information or something like this. So that's an example of one thing that can be templated and can just be put into a Trello board, because this kind of thing will save you time. In fact, I've got a proven process Trello board that I give to my clients when I start working with them. And one of the things that people have said to me time and time again, that it saves them so much time, because they take my template and every time they do something more than once, it just gets copied and pasted and put into the template. And they say that because they have a single point of truth, like a single resource where everything is, it's saving them so much time. One of my clients said it was saving her 8 to 10 hours a week because everything was just in one place and starting to document things.
Wow.
So actually, as a gift to everyone who comes to the live, I'll give you a link to that template and you can put it in the description of the video, because I think it's a good resource, and you can just take it, make a copy, and then make it your own, and start to put in place your own things. So I'll do that for you, so you don't
Oh,
have to start from a blank sheet of paper.
thank you so much. No, it's really great. But I'm imagining myself because I have this issue as well. Of course, I do some repetitive tasks and I have some templates of messages at least. It helped me at some point really much. Some processes as well. I documented, but then I think that many people can relate to that as well. Everything is changing all the time. Like you documented this process. Of course, you've done it twice or even three times, but then you decided to change the platform, or you decided to change the way you communicate, or you know, things like for me, it happens with events. We host events for ladies who talk, and I have a process, but it changes every time, not every time, but it changes eventually. So if I think about documenting, it means that I need to add one more step. Like if I change something, I need to go to this Trello, for example, and I need to make this change. Although I'm not sure that this change will stay, that it will be a great change or something. Maybe next time or in like 2 months, I will do it differently because I will realize it doesn't work for me. So
Mhm.
I mean, for me, it's a very honest conversation. Actually, I wasn't planning to, you know, do that, but like I'm just reflecting immediately that for me it would mean like, oh, one more thing to do, one more task, one more thing to keep in my head. Like, you know,
Mhm.
I don't know. Have you met something like this resistance in entrepreneurs? How do you deal with that?
Absolutely. That's fairly normal, because if you're not a systems thinker, if you're not a systems orientated person, it's not very natural to want to document things and want to do that. But I'll say two things to speak to that resistance. The first thing is, once everything is documented, and if you do use Trello, for example, Trello runs my Trello runs my life, and you can actually create automations within Trello. So, for example, if I'm driving and I remember something, I can say, "Hey Siri, can you send?" Not now, Siri.
Now it's
Can you?
responding.
uh, can you create a card on my Trello board that says this? So you can like create automations and do things like that to make it easier for you, so that you
Oh,
know
I
that you'll
love
do
it.
it. We will do things if we make it easy for ourselves. And the other thing I would say is that having systems and processes documented it's not a one and done thing. It's something that you do need to keep reviewing. But through the process of actually doing it, you will find unexpected wins to streamline your business, to make things simpler, to improve things. And I'll give you an example. I have a client in New York. They're a big agency business, and they hire people for commercials. So they hire and recruit people to be in commercials and user generated content. And we were going through the documentation process, and there was one thing that I noticed, that I said, "Can you explain this process? Can you explain these steps?" And so we went through the steps, and what I found was they were recruiting people from Facebook ads, and then once a week somebody was manually downloading those and then importing them into MailChimp or whatever their email system was. And I said, that we can automate that. And they were like, "Oh, really?" So we automated that, and it saved them like 3 or 4 hours a week. So when you actually take the time to document and process things, although that takes time initially, you will find so many opportunities in your business to just streamline little things and just make little things more efficient, more effective. And when you do that across all of those 7 pillars that I mentioned earlier, the business becomes a joy, because every little problem or any little point in the business where you can solve something, I always see problems as progress. Like, problems are progress, because you can solve something, and then that's no longer a headache. And when I give this system to my clients to work on the business this way, some of them have joked and said it's like the eighth wonder of the world, because they can all of a sudden solve all these problems, and then the bandwidth that gets created for them they don't have to deal with these kind of problems anymore. Now they can just start enjoying the business or be more strategic and do more of the things that they actually enjoy doing in the business. So every little step, every little process that you do in your business, there's always opportunities for optimization and systemization to make it better. Because ultimately, one day, depending on what your goals are, depending on what the goals are of the listeners, you might want to step away from the business and
Yeah.
have a month off, or step away from the business and do more things with your own time. And it's important as the founder to not be the bottleneck, and having the systems and processes is really important. And I mean, this is all before we've even talked about AI, but the opportunities with AI now are endless. I have a client today. We worked on her proven process for her offers over the last week, like documenting what happens in the delivery of each one of her offers. And we put that into ChatGPT, a ChatGPT that I've built for her. And we talked about, where are there room for improvement? And we found so many things that we can improve and have templates for, so that now something that was taking sort of 30 hours a month is taking about 10 hours a month. Business
Oh
gets
my
to be
God.
fun when you start
What
working
do
on
you
these
mean
things.
you built a chat GPT for her? So you like created LLM that you taught some things, or how does it work for you?
Oh yeah, so in ChatGPT or most LLMs now, you can actually create your own
Space?
AI. So yeah. So you can teach it to do certain things. So you can teach it on your processes, and you can teach it about your business and stuff like that, so that it becomes a tool that you can kind of use. I'm probably not the best expert to talk about AI and that kind of thing, because I'm also still learning. But yeah, sometimes if there's a particular project, we'll build a specific GPT for a client and teach it on that client's processes, and teach it on the tone of voice, etc., so that it can become more useful.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible that you use all the tools, because of course they are super, super useful for that. By the way, just a small advertising here, because Sean will be giving a skill sharing session next Wednesday for members at our Ladies Who Talk Hub. So if members are watching us, please join. It's in person session. So it's a great chance to also bring your business case there, as I am doing right now, for example, or at here live. So that Sean can comment on that. If you're not a member yet, maybe it's a good moment to become one. You can become a member at any moment. So just apply on our website, ladieswhotalk.com. But yeah, I think we're gonna have great time, and I'm just happy that we are having it next week, because we don't have a lot of time here. It's just like a sneak peek, just to start knowing you. But I can imagine that many people would want to continue talking. But before we finish this discussion, I really want to ask you, so working less and earning more, is it really possible? Is it the concept that you are pursuing with your clients, or is it like a myth?
Okay. I do want to be very careful with how I answer this question, because I do think that the online industry perpetuates some false or unrealistic fantasies about this. Because the first thing we have to kind of look at is what do we mean by working less and earning more? Because there's a lot of talk of passive income and stuff like that. But even passive income, like, is it really truly passive? For example, I own investment properties, and when the tenant phones because the shower's not working, or they've locked themselves out, like, it's not passive, is it? So when we look at service-based businesses, we have to understand that earning more often means more clients, which often means more work. So it's really, really difficult, because how can you scale yourself, or how can you do that
Exactly. There
without
is a
earning
limit
more?
in capacity, of course. You
Yeah,
are you. So
exactly. So what tends to happen in that sort of situation is if you want to earn more, get more clients, then you have to hire people. But then that means that your earning doesn't necessarily go up because your expenses go up. So to grow and earn more revenue but work less usually requires leverage in your business, and that means that the same amount of effort produces more revenue, and that requires that systems thinking. It requires that structure and the systems and the processes that we've just talked about to create leverage. And there's also lots of other ways that you can create leverage in your business. If you've got a coaching business, for example, you could move to group coaching, or if you've got some kind of consultancy, you can move to a membership. So there's many ways to create leverage. If you've got another type of business where you can create a SaaS product, for example, there's lots of ways that you can create leverage. So kind of back to the question, I think the short answer is yes, you can work less and earn more, but it's got to take some real strategic thinking, and it's going to take some real effort on your part in the beginning phases to get to the position where you can create leverage. So, yes.
Yes. Okay. We will accept this answer. No, but I can imagine, I can totally relate to what you're saying, because when I
Yeah.
was building my own law consultancy, when I was running my small boutique law firm, of course, I could do everything myself and get all the money that clients were bringing to me. But then if I want to have a vacation, if I want to work less, and earn more, I need people. So at some point I had to hire people. I need to teach them, of course, I need to train them. And I worked more at this time, and I
Yeah.
earned, well, the same or even less because of the
Yeah.
expenses. But eventually, after a couple of months, when I started saying, hey, you go talk to this client, or you draft this document, I will not even look at it because I trust you, I trained you, and you're working great. Of course, it became like working less and earn more, at least in the capacity that it was before. But
Yeah.
it also opened up the capacity of working more and earning more, but much more, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's beautiful. Yeah.
I also think that when I start working with business owners, this is something that's really important to me, and really important to what I do now. When I speak to business owners, I ask them what do they want to create for their life. What is your dream life? What is the life that you want to create? Because when I understand that, that's when you can design the business model that will support the life that you want. And when I started my business, my agency business, that was a question and a step that I completely missed. And so you end up going down this route, and as you did with your law firm, I ended up hiring people and growing the business, and I ended up one day with this big team. And that was when I realized I don't want this. I wanted freedom. I wanted time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom. And so you can grow a business in that direction thinking it's the right thing, but actually, is it the right thing for you? And so I always have that conversation early on, because what's really important is that any excess income that you have, or excess revenue that you have, what we should really be talking about is investing. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not going to start talking about financial advice, but ultimately, if you start investing your excess income, your excess revenue, or planning to grow the business to create the excess revenue that you want in order to invest, that's where you can get your money to be working for you without your labor, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd love it if more business owners and more of us talked more about money and investing, because that's the long-term game that we all want. I don't think I'll ever retire, but if I wanted to, I could. And that's the magic that business can give you.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Oh, thank you so much for this talk. I really think that it was intense and very useful, intense in a good way, because we fit so much information into this half an hour. And thank you to everyone who listened. If you watch it in the recording, please write the comments, reach out. You have contacts of Sean in the description, and we will also put there the link to Trello that Sean kindly proposed. Thank you for that again. And yeah, see you next week at our skill sharing session with Sean. I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, come join Ladies Who Talk. I'm sure you will gain a lot of knowledge and positive advice here. Thank you, Sean. Have a great
Thank you.
evening, weekend, and see you very soon.
See you next week.